The morning started with the roar of my Harley echoing through the neighborhood, a sound that always annoyed the HOA board, especially Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the cul-de-sac. She claimed my bike was too loud, too flashy, not in harmony with the subdivision's aesthetics. But that day wasn't about her petty complaints. I had a scheduled briefing with the state attorney regarding a local zoning issue, one that directly exposed the HOA's shady practices. As I polished my Harley in the driveway, Karen's teenage son swaggered up, demanding, "Let me ride it, or I'll call my mom." I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but his tone carried entitlement, not humor. He pointed at my Harley, like it was his birthright. "Mom says you shouldn't even have this here. Give me a turn." I shook my head, trying to brush it off. "Kid, this isn't a bicycle. It's a 900-pound machine that can kill you if you don't respect it." His face twisted with anger. He stomped off toward his house, muttering threats. I didn't care. I had more important matters to handle with the state attorney. Minutes later, Karen stormed out of her house like a thundercloud. She marched into my driveway without permission, her finger stabbing the air. "How dare you talk to my son like that? He has every right to ride that thing. You're violating HOA rules just having it here." I straightened, wiping my hands on a rag. "Karen, motorcycles aren't banned in the bylaws, and your son doesn't have rights to my property. That's trespass, plain and simple." Her face reddened. "I'm calling the cops right now," she shrieked, clutching her phone. I ignored her theatrics and rode to the county building where the state attorney awaited. The meeting was critical. I'd compiled evidence showing how the HOA had been misusing funds, overcharging residents, and pocketing the difference. As I presented documents, photos, and witness statements, the state attorney leaned forward, eyebrows rising. "This is serious," he said. "If what you're showing holds, this HOA could be facing criminal charges." The weight of my work hung in the room. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was exposing corruption that hurt the entire community. Halfway through my briefing, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Dozens of missed calls, texts from neighbors, even voicemails from police dispatch. Apparently, Karen had gone through with her threat. She reported that I had stolen property, endangered a minor, and harbored illegal activity on my land. Cops had swarmed the street while I was presenting evidence downtown. Neighbors watched as squad cars rolled up, lights flashing, treating my house like a crime scene. The irony was almost laughable. While I was helping the state attorney unravel their fraud, Karen was trying to unravel my life with lies. When I returned home, 3 squad cars lined the curb. Officers stood in my yard talking to Karen, who pointed at me like she'd caught a fugitive. Her son smirked from behind her, arms crossed, clearly proud of the chaos he'd sparked. "That's him!" Karen yelled. "He threatened my son. He hides stolen property, and that bike is illegal here." The lead officer turned to me calmly. "Sir, we've received complaints. Mind explaining what's going on?" I sighed, pulling out the thick folder of evidence still in my hands. "Absolutely, officer. Let's start with the real crimes." I handed over the documents I'd just shown the state attorney. Receipts, HOA emails, financial discrepancies, all painting a picture of Karen's board pocketing thousands from residents. The officers glanced through, then exchanged looks. Karen's face shifted from smug to pale. "Don't listen to him," she screeched. "He's lying. He's trying to distract you from his violations." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, these are official county records. If they're fabricated, that's a felony. Are you sure you want to make that claim?" For once, Karen stuttered, her confidence cracking under the weight of her own arrogance. Neighbors gathered along sidewalks, phones out, filming everything. The more Karen yelled, the more ridiculous she looked. "He rides that motorcycle to intimidate us," she wailed. "He refuses to obey our rules." Someone in the crowd shouted back, "They aren't rules. He's not under your HOA jurisdiction." Laughter rippled through the onlookers. The officers, now visibly irritated, pulled me aside. "Sir, we can see what's happening here. It looks like harassment." With the state attorney involved, this goes beyond neighbor disputes. We recommend filing formal charges against the HOA board. For the first time, I realized the tide had fully turned. The following week, subpoenas landed on HOA board members' doorsteps. Karen's empire of fines and threats began crumbling overnight. Residents who once feared her found courage, demanding transparency. Some even approached me with apologies, confessing they'd been bullied into silence for years. Karen, meanwhile, doubled down, spreading wild rumors that I was a criminal, a biker thug, even a government plant sent to destroy her. But with every lie, more neighbors drifted away from her side. The HOA, once a powerful force, was now fractured, exposed, and bleeding support. And it all began because of a motorcycle she hated. Court proceedings were long and draining, but damning evidence piled higher each day. Financial ledgers showed missing funds, emails revealed backroom deals, and witness testimonies described intimidation tactics. The state attorney's office filed charges for fraud, misappropriation of funds, and harassment. Karen sat in the courtroom, arms crossed, glaring daggers at me as if her hatred could stop justice. I didn't flinch. My Harley had become more than a bike. It was a symbol of resistance. The same machine she wanted gone had carried me to victory, both in the courtroom and in the hearts of my neighbors. When the verdict finally came, it was devastating for Karen. The HOA board was dissolved, its assets seized, and restitution ordered. For residents, they had cheated. Karen herself faced personal fines and a ban from holding any leadership role in community organizations. Her son avoided charges due to his age, but the neighborhood treated him with wary silence, his antics no longer amusing. As for me, the judge dismissed every false report filed against me. The Harley stayed right where it belonged, gleaming proudly in my driveway, untouchable by their petty hands ever again. In the aftermath, life in the neighborhood transformed. Without the HOA's iron grip, people began planting gardens, repainting houses, and living without fear of fines. The air of oppression lifted. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to before stopped by to thank me, offering handshakes, pies, even free tune-ups for my Harley. I became unintentionally a local hero, the man who took down Karen and her crooked board. I didn't relish the spotlight, but I was proud. Not because I'd won for myself, but because we'd all won. Freedom had returned and justice had been served right on our doorstep. Karen tried to save face, of course. She called reporters, ranted on social media, and even stood outside my house holding protest signs. But no one listened anymore. Her credibility was dust. Her son, once cocky and demanding, now kept his head low whenever I rumbled past on my Harley. The sound that once enraged them became a reminder of her defeat. Every rev of the engine echoed victory, proof that truth outlasts lies and integrity crushes arrogance. They had tried to bury me with fines and police reports, but instead they buried themselves under the weight of justice. Sometimes, I still think back to that morning, the sun glinting on chrome, the entitled demand of a spoiled teenager, the fury of his mother dialing 911. They thought they could control me, strip me of pride, and erase what I loved. Instead, they revealed their corruption to the world and handed me the keys to their downfall. The state attorney later told me, if not for your persistence, we might never have caught them. I nodded, grateful. It wasn't persistence alone, it was principle. And sometimes principle is louder than any engine. Whenever I brief. With state officials, I ride my Harley proudly to the courthouse. Its rumble isn't just noise, it's a declaration, a reminder that no HOA bully, no entitled neighbor, no Karen can strip a man of his rights when he knows the truth and stands his ground. I never sought war with my neighborhood, but when war came, I fought with evidence, patience, and integrity. In the end, they called the cops on me, but the law stood on my side, and justice, like the growl of my Harley, will always be heard.